Hello YouTube, I'm Efring225 and it looks like I'm doing the entire Mega Man series, so here we go with Rockman 3, The End of Dr. Wily? Yeah, that's what the subtitle for this game is. Of course, it's Japanese Mega Man 3 because I can't be bothered to get the English version. So we're just gonna jump right ahead into Top Man stage. I had to go rather quickly to get this in under an hour, so there's not going to be a whole lot of time to explain everything, but you've already seen that Mega Man 3 introduces the slide mechanic. By pushing down an A on the ground, you can move a lot faster and squeeze into spaces you couldn't get into before. The slide is a really great addition. It really speeds the game up. I hope they don't get rid of it in a future game. Anyways, we're in Top Man stage, which doesn't seem to have a whole lot to do with spinning tops. You'd expect there to be like some kind of, I don't know, a Beyblade arena or something. Hey, wait a minute. That plant in the background, that kind of looks like pot. Pot spelled backwards is top. Now it makes sense. Okay, no, it doesn't really, but yeah. So it's kind of just a blue background until you get into these indoor areas which have robo-cats. Tops, robo-cats. Now I'm really starting to wonder what the theme here was. Okay, here's an enemy with a top. That makes better sense. And now we are walking on air and we are up against another robo-cat. Alright, I don't really want to question the stage themes here. I mean, like, it's not like Dr. Wily or whoever needs to make 8 fun themed worlds. You just need to focus on blowing up Mega Man. In fact, why does Dr. Wily... Well, actually, the plot of this game is that Dr. Wily is now on Mega Man's side and is working with Dr. Light to build a peacekeeping robot. Yeah, that's going to end well, I just know it. Alright, so we have some spinning top platforms, which are kind of nice, except they don't really get used anywhere else in the rest of the game. And we're up to the boss, which is going to be one of the weaker robot masters in the series. Top Man just shoots those projectiles at you, which you kind of have to slide to avoid. So it's kind of teaching you how to use the slide to avoid things. Definitely a very easy boss to defeat because the Buster does quite a bit of damage. We're still kind of in that era of you can't really, like, go in any order you want and have a nice, easy ride because there are bosses that take more damage from the Buster than others, so it's really in your best interest to take those on first. So yeah, still not quite the ideal Mega Man game in my opinion. In fact, Mega Man 3 has a number of issues with it that make it feel unfinished, but when I played it for this playthrough, I was having a blast, so it's still very much a fun and excellent game. The music is very good too. So we're going into Shadow Man stage next, which, it kind of has an issue with the walls of fire waterfalls, I guess. Well, it's going to kill the video quality again for some reason. I don't know why they have a waterfall of lava in Shadow Man stage, because Shadow Man is very clearly supposed to be based on a ninja. And we have a very interesting mini-boss. This guy is called, yeah, I'm actually not sure what his deal is, because when the game eventually names him, he's called Breakman, but in the ending he reveals that he's actually named Proto Man. It's very strange, but anyways, you just shoot him up for a little bit, and you move on with the stage. Right, so coming up we have a section with a machine that causes the entire screen to turn dark, which actually improves the video quality, so I wish they would stay up for the entire run. Not really sure what the point of it is, it just makes the platforming a little bit annoying because you can't see anything in front of you. Gotta be careful with those grenades, by the way, because when you shoot them they explode, and the explosion hurts more than colliding with them. At least I think it does. Colliding with them might be the same. But anyways. So yeah, not much to this section, because they don't really use this. Well, they use this trap one more time. Actually, a couple more times. So yeah, that trap is used again. So we're switching to Top Spin, which has a bit of undeserved infamy as one of the worst weapons in Mega Man history. I will admit that it is very much bugged, but this very game has a weapon even worse than Top Spin. Top Spin can be difficult to use because you actually have to collide with enemies in order to use it, and you can only collide with them in the air. If you're on the ground, it does nothing. but luckily it will only take energy away if you actually do collide with enemies, and these enemies in particular, they all die in one hit to Topspin, so Topspin definitely has some niche uses throughout the game. There are plenty of enemies that die in one hit to it, but when we get to the boss, Shadow Man, who is weak to Topspin, you will see why it is a bit of a bugged weapon, but first I'm going to lose a life here to get all my life energy back, because you can't really fight Shadow Man with less than full health. I think you could reasonably defeat Shadow Man with just the Buster. In fact, I'm going to be forced to do a bit of that, because as you can see here, look at how much energy I lost from just like 3 hits of Topspin. The deal with that is that Topspin will take away energy as long as you are colliding with an enemy and you have the B button pressed. So you've really got to tap the button, but I'm pretty sure I was tapping the button and was still losing a lot of energy there, so yeah. Glitched weapon, very imperfect, not a good idea to use it against Shadow Man himself. Well, assuming you don't get the glitch anyways, it could be good. So we get Shadow Blade, which is Shadow Man's weapon, and we get the Rush Marine. Rush is a new character that they've introduced, and we'll be seeing him in this very stage. We're going on to Gemini Man next. Ooh, my voice. Gemini Man is not the next boss in the weakness order. In fact, Mega Man 3 has a weird weakness order because there are actually 2 separate weakness orders. But much like with Mega Man 2, the weakness order can be summed up as everything loses to Shadow Blade, because Shadow Blade is this game's version of Metal Blade. It doesn't go all the way across the screen, it actually goes a little bit further and then comes back to you like the Quick Boomerang, but it's got a lot of ammo and attack power, so it's definitely very much the Metal Blade equivalent, especially because you can throw it in 5 different directions. That's every direction except beneath you. It can go above you, but it cannot go beneath you. Very weird. Alright, so we've had a basic section of penguin robots for some reason. I guess there's not really a theme to... Mega Man's walking in place! That's funny. So there's actually a glitch you can do. You can jump out of your slide. I forgot to mention that. And if you jump out of your slide, you can actually skip that cutscene with a weird robot by jumping into that strange metal device. That metal device actually has no hit detection. And woo! I just triggered another glitch by zipping through the wall. That was completely by accident. But it saved me a lot of time because I don't have to shoot through these eggs with the tadpoles in them. So we've got ice, penguins, and frogs. This looks like a water level. Not that there are any water-themed robot masters in this game, unlike Bubble Man and Ice Man, but like, I guess I don't really know what sort of theme... I'm just damage boosting past these mini-bosses, by the way. I don't really know what kind of theme you would put in Gemini Man's stage, like Gemini, the constellation, I believe, duality... There being 2, the boss is definitely following that theme, but, yeah, you know, who knows. Alright, so I've just introduced Rush. Rush is a dog with the ability to transform into a variety of objects to help Mega Man. In this case, it's a submarine, which is really cool. Unfortunately, the submarine can only really be used in water, so it's only really good in a handful of stages throughout the series. But in Mega Man 3, you can also jump out of the water by going to the top of the water and pushing the A button, which is a very weird thing because you can hop around like this. It's so strange. Whoa. Alright, and as long as you have the Rush Marine, I don't even think you need the Rush Marine to get those 2 energy tanks. But yeah, 2 energy tanks in one stage. And I got very lucky and the enemy dropped a large energy. You do start with Rush. You have the ability to turn Rush into a spring that will give you a higher jump, and that was a complete failure of a jump on my part, but we're up to the boss now. Gemini Man. Yeah, as you can see, there's 2 of them, and I have to lose a life to get all of my life energy back. Because this is another boss I just don't want to take on with not full energy. So we're going to use the Shadow Blade against him. It's not his weakness, but it'll do the trick. So there's going to be 2 of them, and they're going to move in this very rigid pattern while shooting at you. The sheer speed makes them a little bit difficult to avoid, but once one of the 2 is destroyed, the other one is forced to switch to a very easy pattern. It's very easy to slide under him, which I'm failing to do because I'm focusing entirely on shooting him, and I ended the battle with only 1 health. I guess that's exciting for the viewers, huh? Now, we get a weapon from him that's kinda, sorta, at the end of it. The Gemini laser. When you shoot it, it reflects off of walls, kind of like as if it were bouncing against a mirror. It doesn't have a lot of ammo, and unfortunately, if it can take out quite a lot of enemies in Needleman's stage in one hit, which is really nice. But the thing is, if you miss and it starts bouncing off a wall, you still can't switch weapons when there is a projectile on the screen. So, yeah, we're gonna see that against the boss, because it just moves slowly in a straight line, so it's very easy to miss with. So that's unfortunate. It takes out these cannons in 2 hits, which is nice. I think it pierces their guard, actually, because you can normally only shoot them when their mouths are open, I think. Anyways, moving on. There appears to be a giant hard hat in the stage here, which is interesting. Not a lot of needles. There's one enemy called Needle Harry that is definitely a needle. It's a hedgehog robot that we saw earlier. And these are needles, so okay. I see where the needle theme comes in this time. Needles, pins... yeah. You definitely want to use your sliding if you want to get past those traps, by the way. And that was a nice shot I just performed on the enemy there. So yeah, you can use the rush coil to get up to this energy tank, which I would imagine they would want to make energy tanks a little bit more, require a little bit more effort on your part. And this enemy is very annoying. It is the Hammer Joe, which is a successor to the Sniper Joe. To damage it, it has to throw its little ball and chain. It's invulnerable until that point. So it can be a very annoying enemy to face, but with a Shadow Blade you can actually hit it from down below. Really cool. And with the slide, it's very easy to slide under the arbitrary giant enemy before the boss doors that they have done for 3 games in a row so far. Alright, so Gemini Laser is Needleman's weakness. Alright, Pinhead, your time is up. Who you calling Pinhead? He appears to not move until you get close or make a shot yourself. So as you can see, the Gemini laser can be very annoying to work with because you can't switch weapons to make it go away until it hits something or just goes off the screen. And I got very lucky there because I managed to finish off Needleman with all of my remaining ammo. Kind of annoying, actually. Like, all of the stages kind of favor using the boss weakness. Alright, so the reason I went to Needleman so early is because we get the Rush Jet, which is a completely overpowered item, and I'm going to use it a lot in Snake Man stage. Snake Man stage has the best song in the game, so if you would like to tune out my voice and go listen to the OST, please do that. Anyways, yeah, Rush Jet. Rush Jet is very much a sign that they did not, properly test the game enough. In fact, there's actually a glitch in this stage that I want to talk about later. But yeah, and there's a lot of slowdown in Mega Man 3 as well. Lots of slowdown, lag, sprite flicker. But it still ends up being an okay, really good game at the end of the day, I would say. I'm still going to say I prefer Mega Man 4 over this, but here's Rush Jet. Completely overpowered because you can just fly over this mini-boss. Of course, I still got hit. Rush Jet is the equivalent to the cape in Super Mario World. Just fly over everything. Just skip all the enemies. And its energy meter is bugged too because the energy meter only depletes if you are standing on the Rush Jet, which means that if you repeatedly jump on the Rush Jet in the air, you'll get a lot more use out of it because the game isn't ticking down Rush Jet energy while you are jumping. It's so strange. Of course, they had to nerf it in Mega Man 4, but it's still a really useful item in Mega Man 4. Anyways, where was I? We have some more Hammer Joes. We're just gonna Rush Jet past this one. And up here, interesting item on this screen. Those boxes have randomized items, but you have to break them open, and I don't really care to go get them. They could have an energy tank, they might not. Another reason I would rate Mega Man 3 kind of low on the Mega Man totem pole is because they give you so many free energy tanks. Like, I got 2 in Gemini Man stage and 1 in Needle Man stage. They weren't very hard to get. Like, the energy tank is such a good item that I would say you would kind of need to put some effort in if you want to get them, in my opinion. But they give you so many for free in this game. It's crazy. This is the screen with the glitch I wanted to talk about, by the way. Those columns have cloud platforms coming out of them, kind of similar to the ones in Airman stage. Does this mean Snake Man stage is canonically beneath Airman stage? That is so cool. But the problem with the platforms is that if you are standing on the pillar when they come up, it's possible for the game to interpret that as you've been wedged in a wall, let me push you off the platform and to your death completely. So yeah, easy to avoid that glitch actually if you just jump before the platform comes up, but whatever. Snake Man's got a fairly easy pattern. The needle cannon is not the best weapon in the game. It is basically a rapid fire buster, but due to the height variance in the shots, it's less accurate than your regular buster. So if you've got an auto fire controller, or just plain very good at shooting very rapidly, then, you know, nobody cares about needle cannon. I'm gonna use it a couple times. It's kind of an okay item if you're not good at rapid fire. It's also Snake Man's weakness, so there you go. We have picked up the Search Snake, which would have been Gemini Man's weakness, but we've already defeated him, so we're going to Magnet Man instead. Alright, so Magnet Man just staged... I think it's intended to be the one you go to first, because there's so much, like, nothing going on in the stage, honestly. These magnet enemies, they pull you upwards, which would have been cool, except they're never really used for anything. Pardon me. They're never really used for anything throughout the game, and we have another match with the mysterious Break Man, I guess. This isn't even what Break Man looks like in the ultimate confrontation with him. Like, the needle cannon is good here because, I don't think he's particularly weak to it, but it's very easy to fire at him with it. We have a giant spring enemy. This might have been appropriate for Top Man stage. It's a giant spring that fires missiles, dies in 2 hits to the Gemini laser. And these are not enemies you want to use the Gemini laser against. They take so little damage. No, you should use top spin on them. And we have magnets pulling you towards the wall, and we have weird batteries with R's and W's, which I think is supposed to represent Dr. Wright, aka Dr. Light, and Dr. Wily, but what are they doing here? I mean, like, the purpose of the 8 stages, by the way, plot-wise, oh yeah, disappearing bricks, we're skipping those with Rush Jet, I don't have time for them, especially when they combine it with the magnets, like, jeez, this looks tough. If you had to actually do it the normal way, and I don't. So the deal with all of these stages, narrative-wise, is that we're collecting a bunch of materials from a bunch of mining planets, I guess. Mega Man has achieved space travel in this universe, supposedly. This is a good use of Search Snake, by the way. It crawls along the ground and crawls up surfaces, so that's really nice. We do not have the official weakness of Magnet Man, which is Spark Man's weapon, but it's really just more efficient to use the Shadow Blade, because the Shadow Blade does a lot of damage, as much as Spark Shock, come to think of it. And it can go upwards like that. That was a really good pattern, by the way. Magnet Man normally has an attack where he just sits there invulnerable while he's trying to fruitlessly pull Mega Man towards him like a magnet. So, yeah. We get the Magnet Missile, which is the same as that projectile you saw Magnet Man using. Very nice weapon. So yeah, the reason Dr. Wily wants all of these building materials is so he can build that giant robot I'm pretty sure I talked about. But whatever, plot. No one cared about plot in Mega Man. Like, there aren't even really any cutscenes explaining all of this. Like, it's all in the manual. I think there was supposed to be a cutscene, but as I've said, this game's development, I guess you could say it was rushed. Because they introduced Rush. Rushed. Bees. I'm covered in bees! What's going on? I don't know what I was supposed to expect from a stage whose boss is called Hardman. Jeez, that's not going to... Hardman, are you kidding me? That's not gonna cause any problems. So we've got bees, traps, we've got a Hammer Joe, and in a section where you're apparently supposed to learn how Rush works. And moving on, we have some annoying monkeys coming up. They are defeated in one hit by Topspin, which is another example of Topspin being a great weapon. But I suppose Topspin is also flawed in that people would probably write off the weapon. I don't know what this Hammer Joe is doing here. He's completely ineffective. But yeah, I think the big problem with Topspin is that people would try it against one enemy, see the entire weapon energy meter drain, and think, oh, bad weapon, never use it. And then they get annoyed by these monkeys, never realizing that they can be defeated in one hit. Alright, so we've got the construction worker robots, which are oddly very appropriate. And hey, free E-Tank as long as you take that path. You just have to fight through one enemy to get that E-Tank. Come on, put some effort into challenging me for these E-Tanks, people. Oh, I suppose they were hoping you would use it here, because that's a lot to get past. All those traps, the bees, and another match with Breakman in... Oh yeah, that's another issue I take with Mega Man 3. Did you notice that the song there kind of goes on for a little bit more because I paused mid-fall? If you pause for long enough, you can actually hear all of the song. There are songs in this game that are cut off because the cutscenes they appear in don't play for long enough. Like, yikes, man. Surely that would have been noticed in testing. But yeah, all of the real problems with Mega Man 3, they don't really affect the gameplay, I would say. Like, we haven't really had much in the ways of gameplay affecting glitches here. Right, so Hardman is kind of a retread of Gutsman in that he slams into the ground and stuns you, but it stuns you now no matter where you are, so I don't really know what the idea with that is. His weakness is the magnet missile. It turns 90 degrees before when it detects an enemy 90 degrees away from it, so it's a pretty nice weapon for this because it can hit him while he's in the air. Not a lot of ammo on this weapon, but it's still pretty cool. You know, plenty of sections throughout the game. So 7 bosses down and it's only been 22 minutes. That's pretty impressive. So we're getting the Hard Knuckle, which is a weapon that fires Mega Man's fist at enemies, which would be cool if it were faster and maybe had some more ammunition. It doesn't have a lot of ammo, but it's apparently supposed to have lots of attack power. So I will try to make use of this when I can. It's apparently Top Man's weakness. So there you go. Spark Man is up next. Another stage with a very cool theme. And a lot of traps that I'm going to skip with Rush Jet because I'm very lame like that. I mean, I wanted to complete the game in less than an hour for arbitrary reasons that don't really make sense. So, yeah. So we start off with some basic enemies, which I'm going to use Shadow Blade against. And these sparks. These sparks can actually, I didn't mention this, but the sparks on the ceiling and the floor can actually be scrolled off screen. And those bees in Hardman stage can also be scrolled off the screen if you know how to do that. Just like get them to go off screen when you're already past their spawn point. It's a common thing in some NES games, and it happened once in Mega Man 2 as well. So those blocks would actually go upwards when you step on them and smash you into the spikes. So I'm just going to skip them with Rush Jet. And there's going to be another section of them later that I also skip with Rush Jet. And what's a construction worker doing in this stage? Well, at least they're getting mileage out of that enemy because it appears in numerous stages past this point. I suppose Mentors being the unofficial mascot of Mega Man, you know. So we have a long vertical pit for some reason. There's no spikes along the side, which you'd think that they would do that. Hint, hint, hint. And then we have blocks coming down. These blocks are very annoying. There's, I don't know if there's a way to quickly destroy them, but it's better to just get past them before they block your path. Then, if they block your path, then it's going to be very annoying destroying them to get them out of your way. And then we have more nuts and bolts, and more of those platforms that try to smash you into the spikes. Very difficult section if you don't have Rush Jet. Good thing I have him. Sparkman's weakness is the Shadow Blade, I think. Not really sure, actually. Due to the two separate weakness circles thing, it's very difficult for me to remember all of the weakness orders in Mega Man 3. But there you go. He's gone, and we now have the worst weapon in Mega Man history. The Spark Shock is a weapon that will paralyze one enemy. Unfortunately, unlike the Ice Slasher from Mega Man 1, you cannot switch to a different weapon after paralyzing something. So this is really only effective against bosses that are weak to it, because then it'll actually do direct damage. But for all the bosses that are weak to it, you've got just a ton of better options anyways. And so, in theory, we should be going off to the Wily stages, but for some reason they've decided to make us revisit 4 of the stages and fight off against the evil question marks. Yes, the stage revisits are exclusive to Mega Man 3. The 4 of the stages have been remixed and changed, and there are new bosses. Or should I say, old bosses. I get the feeling that they were doing this in order to pad out the game length. And I'm not sure how cool this is compared to just having a second castle, because in Mega Man's 4, 5, and 6, spoiler alert, there's a second Wily Fortress, effectively. So yeah, you gotta get through all these enemies, the penguins are all gone, and hey, an extra life. I got so many extra lives in my practice runs of this game that it started to feel like Mega Man 5. For some reason, 5 just spits extra lives at you like there's no tomorrow. I do like a couple of the details in the stage revisits that, basically, there's evidence that Mega Man has been through these places already, such as the weird device that was blocking your entry no longer being there. And we're going to fight through some more of these weird robot eggs that spit out tadpoles. I've still never really understood what the deal with these was. They should have saved them for Toadman stage in Mega Man 4. Then it would have been appropriate. Probably a better trap than whatever those mollusk robots were. And I'm getting ahead of myself because this is 3, not 4. And now we are up against the first of 2 bosses in the stage revisits. It's Flashman in a new body. So yeah, the idea here is that the 8 Robot Masters from Mega Man 2 are back with new bodies for a second round. These are called Doc Robots, which is a really weird name for them, but apparently in Japan they were called the Dokuro, or Skull Robots. So yeah, and here's my first E-Tank. The Doc Robots are generally annoying in that their hitboxes are very much bigger, making them harder to avoid, and they don't have exact duplicates of their AIs from Mega Man 2. They actually have a few minor changes to them. So Flashman is a lot more aggressive, and he doesn't freeze the screen for as long. Here's a really stupid section, by the way. You just hop in Rush Marine, and you move to the right. Nothing can hit you in this section as long as you keep moving right. Game designers? Hello? What were you doing? But yeah, I guess they just didn't test just blindly rushing through to see if that was possible. It's something I don't really test for a whole lot in my games either. I'm not exactly attuned to just rushing through and seeing if that gets me through a stage that I've created. But it's probably a bad sign if it does. Also, I'm stuck on this ladder. I can't get down. Help! Yeah, a bunch of spots with ladders and these enemies crawling down them. These are okay. And now that we've dropped in the water, I wonder which Mega Man 2 robot is going to be the boss here. It's probably going to be Bubble Man. Oh look, a spiked ceiling. Definitely Bubble Man. There's another mistake in the stage, I guess. If you jump through the boss door, it is possible for the water physics to send you, like, just into the spiked ceiling and you die instantly. I wanted to demonstrate that, but I was getting worried about how many lives I had. Like, I don't really want to get an unnecessary game over, because I want to complete this in under an hour for arbitrary reasons. But it would have been hilarious if you had actually, like, jumped up there in the wrong way and hit the spiked ceiling, died, got a game over, and had to go through all of that all over again. Because if you die to the second boss and get a game over, the first boss is going to respawn. That's not cool. Now we're in the Shadow Man revisit, which has a bunch of spikes. A weird thing that can actually happen is that if you hit a spike at the same time as a screen transition, you'll hear the death noise, but you don't actually die. However, the music stops, and this is actually useful for speedrunners because it reduces lag. I think lag reduction would be useful for me in this place too. Oh man, here we go. A bunch of waterfalls of lava. It's going to ruin the video quality. Oh look, the darkness robot to the rescue. Thank goodness. So yeah, I'm not going to deal with these platforms because they are over pits and it's very hard to get through here without making a mistake and dying. These are like Gutsman's lifts levels of annoyances. So just fly over all of it. I mean, they must have known Rush Jet was a thing by this point because you obviously have Rush Jet going into these stages. Alright, first of the two bosses in the Shadow Man revisit coming up right here. If I'm not mistaken, it is... Yeah, it's Woodman, of course. I should have realized I had the needle cannon equipped. So, Woodman is weak to the needle cannon. And this is definitely a very good example of the changes from Mega Man 2 to this, because now that the Doc Robot is a much bigger, boss than Woodman was, it's so very difficult to avoid that wood shield. Or leaf shield, excuse me, I made a mistake and called it the wood shield. What am I doing? So yeah, the size of the Doc Robots can be very annoying. The name Doc Robot probably is intended to imply Dr. Wily, but I'm not even really sure what the narrative purpose of the Doc Robot stages is, because again, there's no cutscenes, so why are we revisiting stages to fight robots that are here now for some reason? I think the idea is Dr. Wily is trying to stall us while he, I don't know, goes off and films a robot porn movie or something. I don't know! I don't think about these things, I just think about skipping sections with Rush Jet, except that now I'm actually worried about running out of fuel for him, but, you know, now the section's over, so that didn't really matter. This enemy is very easy to deal with if you use Search Snake. If he's level with you, then just use Gemini Laser, I guess. And here's another boss that we are going to lose a life against in order to get all of our life energy back, because I think I need to take a hit against Heat Man, and you're gonna see why that is, because this initial volley of flames, I don't know how to avoid it. Do you just jump through it? I guess that's how you do it. So yeah, about stage checkpoints in the revisits, the first boss in the stage revisit does not have a checkpoint right before it, like the second boss does. The first checkpoint in the stage will actually be after the first boss, which is actually courteous of them, I would say. Most of the time, they've placed the easier of the two bosses in the first boss chamber. Actually, that's a lie, because Woodman is definitely not easier than Heat Man, and Flash Man is definitely harder than Bubble Man. But, whatever. He's weak against Shadow Blade, and if you are feeling suicidal, he is also weak against Top Spin. Halfway there, we're on to the Needleman revisit, which is going to see some more mandatory Rush Jet usage, so look forward to that. And it's now at night, which is a neat touch. Starts out the same with the Needle Harries, but now we have a spiked floor, and some more dangerous pins coming up right here. Yeah, not much to say, really. They can be difficult to avoid, and luckily, getting hit and being pushed into that spike pit doesn't really matter, because, yeah, starting from Mega Man 2, you're now immune to spikes while you have invincibility frames. It's not like Mega Man 1, where they would still kill you. And I attempted to use the Hard Knuckle here to demonstrate it, but it, for all of the high attack power Hard Knuckle is supposed to have, it just didn't really do the job. I still got hit. And I'm gonna pick up this extra life out of safety, because I don't want a game over. You actually don't lose your energy tanks if you get a game over in Mega Man 3, which, yeah. I think the idea behind that particular energy tank is that they wanted to tempt you to potentially use up your Rush Jet fuel and not have enough for the section coming up. Right, so who is next? I think it's Metal Man. No, it's Airman. Of course, it would be Airman. But the magnet missile is still a very good weapon against Airman, because if you can fire it through this barrage of tornadoes, it will actually like hit him and turn to hit him. So yeah, you just have to find an opening that you can shoot the magnet missile into if you want to do some extra damage. And I almost died to him. So yeah, Airman's a little tougher there because of increased collision damage and a bunch of other problems. Alright, so here is the mandatory rush jet segment, and it looks like I'm going to burn another E-tank, but I have 4 E-tanks. I don't think there's an actual cap to how many energy tanks you can hold. The counter only goes up to 9, but I think you can collect energy tanks even past 9. The counter just won't show it despite there being 2 digits. I don't really know for sure. But yeah, more of that glorious rush jet abuse. They don't expect you to just jump up and down at the top of the screen. There is a danger to jumping above the top of the screen. You could get hit by something at the bottom of the screen. If there is something there anyways. And there are a bunch of energy capsules in case you need more rush jet. So yeah, as long as you're smart about your rush jet usage, that's not really a tough area of the game. And hey, it's that giant hard hat from the first time we entered the stage, and I have completely messed up. If you rapid fire your needle cannon into the plus on his forehead, because that's the weak point, of course, very obvious weak point. Yeah, and then I probably should have switched to Shadow Blade at this point, but if you rapid fire the needle cannon, it's possible to... Where are his eyes? His eyes disappeared when I paused. So yeah, the second hard hat is going to go much quicker than the first one did, so that's good. And some basic enemies, more hard hats. These should be in Hard Man stage, honestly. You know, if you ask me, they shouldn't have revisited Needle Man, Shadow Man, Gemini Man, and Spark Man. They should have revisited the other 4 stages, because those stages have the better music. Oh, hot take! I guess it's because I hear these stage songs more often that I don't quite like them as much, but they're still catchy, so don't worry. I still agree with your opinion. Here's Crash Man, who's going to be even more annoying than he was in Mega Man 2. Because the Hard Knuckle stops you if you like fire it, it's difficult to hit Crash Man with it, and unfortunately it appears to be his weakness. All of the Dock robots have 2 weaknesses, but I only really remember Hard Knuckle for Crash Man. I guess I should look up my guide in Nintendo Power, which is where I get 99% of the plot info from, because, like, this game is so devoid of cutscenes. Alright, Spark Man. At least this stage music will keep me calm. We've got to rush jet or coil up to the ladder here. Now there's an extra screen with an enemy right there. So just Shadow Blade him, or even Gemini Laser him. Gemini Laser is a good example of a weapon that you have to like know in advance where the best places to fire it are, unfortunately. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of the weapons in Mega Man 5 are like. So, yeah. If you've ever heard anyone diss Mega Man 5, that's probably why. So moving on with the stage. Oh look, we have annoying platforms. Let's just rush jet past them. Yes! We've got another giant spring enemy that I should have used Gemini Laser on. Kind of annoying that the missile lingers on screen, but if it prevents the giant spring from firing another one, then, you know, that's good. Coming up next should be Metal Man. Good, it is Metal Man. I remembered correctly. So, you remember Metal Man, who stays in the same horizontal position, right? I wonder what weapon I should use. Also, he waits until you attack in order to attack himself. So yeah, Magnet Missile, very good weapon on him, and it's his weakness. Even if it wasn't his weakness, I would probably use it as long as it did decent damage. I think this is where the checkpoint is, which is really good, because we have an instant death spiked chamber coming up right here. That vertical spike shaft that they do in most Mega Man games at least once. Yeah, that's what I was hinting towards when we visited here the first time. So, gonna be a lot of damage boosting and a lot of lag right here. Yep, not much to say about this section, actually. Other than it used up the rest of my magnet missiles. Alright, so this is another section with those blocks coming out. Again, very annoying to get past them if you let them build up. So it's best to just get past them as quickly as possible. And the last boss from Mega Man 2 that we are going to have to refight again is Quickman, who has a bigger body now because he's in a Doc Robot. So this is going to be fun, isn't it? I think I lost a life here to get my life energy back again. The first thing he does is he will jump towards you and, oh yeah, I'm losing a life to this. I can't take this. I could just use an E-Tank. I probably want to conserve extra lives. But past this point, you know, there's not a lot of exceedingly difficult challenges as long as I save my E-Tanks for them, so it's fine. And you'd think that GEMINI laser would be good here because with Quickman, like, rushing around the arena, like, he's very, it's very easy for him to just ram right into the laser, but then you have moments like this where it causes lots of lag, too. That's unfortunate. So yeah, that's the Mega Man 2 rematches over with. I think it would have been interesting for them to do another rematch like this, but, yeah, maybe it's best for it to stay in Mega Man 3. So we have yet another rematch with Breakman, who is now touting a scarf and immunity to all weapons except the Buster. That's one powerful scarf, I gotta say, but very easy to deal with him. And then we have a cutscene where basically Dr. Light is saying, oh no, after we received the last element, Wily ran off with Gamma. So yeah, Wily just took the giant robot that was supposed to keep the peace, but oh no, Wily built it to take over the world, and now he's stolen it, and he's gonna wiggle his eyebrows at us. Yeah, just do that. That's very intimidating. So now we're up to the Wily stages. And this castle is kind of infamous for being a very short Wily fortress. All of the stages are kind of short. And they have some bosses that range from annoying to very, very easy. So this will be interesting to talk about, I think. So I picked up that extra life, and these first few enemies are not that difficult, especially with all of the weapons we've accumulated over the course of this grand adventure. And hey, look, a free E-Tank! Those of you who are drinking every time I say free E-Tank, yeah. For some reason, I switched to Rush Jet there, but, you know, I'm underwater, so I may as well use Rush Marine. This is the last time we're really ever going to see Rush Marine. And why are the penguins flying? Penguins are flightless birds. That is illegal. You can't. Well, you know what? They're robots, so who gives a crap? Alright, so we have some walls here coming up that can be destroyed only with a hard knuckle. So yeah, they're like the Crash Bomb walls. That's what I was looking for, actually. Hard Knuckle is a bit like Crash Bomb, except it's not a mandatory weapon against a very specific boss. They learned their lesson and never did that again. You can actually control the Hard Knuckle by moving up and down, or holding up and down to move it up and down. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Hey, look, another free E-Tank, as long as you realize that Hard Knuckle can break it open. So that's 2 E-Tanks in one stage, and it's the Wily stages. What is Wily doing with all these E-Tanks? Like, why are they placed throughout the castle like this? I mean, surely he must have designed this castle himself. So, like, why would you place a bunch of E-Tanks and free 1-ups? And don't tell me that they're meant for the robots throughout the stage. It's a picture of Mega Man's head. It's clearly been made for Mega Man. Are they traps? They don't seem trapped by anything, really. So this boss is pretty much, well, it's not the last boss that's weak to top spin, but we have yet another boss that can easily be trounced by top spin. Well, this is the first boss that can be trounced by top spin. It is a turtle-producing robot thing. It makes turtles, okay? And the turtles are destroyed in one hit by top spin, and you have a bunch of whirls that try to push you in different directions to disorient you. But yeah, once all of the turtles are gone, the thing just explodes, and that was a completely boring boss. Like, it's not anything like the Mecha Dragon or the other bosses from Mega Man 2, like the giant Guts Man tank. That's the thing about these bosses. They're not really exciting or awesome in any way. Like, that was just a turtle-making machine. What are you doing? And there are no enemies to impede you up until this room right here, where you have to slide through a bunch of these, and then I'm going to switch to Rush Jet yet again. Because you have a bunch of traps, you've got spikes, and you've got the bees from Hardman stage, which at this vertical height you can actually shoot out with a buster before they drop their bees. Of course, I have to come down for this energy capsule, which lets the bee drop his bees. And now I'm covered in bees. Oh man, if you let every bee drop all of his bees, then you're going to be covered in bees, and that's going to cause a lot of lag. Hey, a free E-Tank, because if you weren't using... Yeah, I consider that a free E-Tank, because if you weren't using Rush Jet at this point, what are you doing? And another free E-Tank! 2 free E-Tanks and all of this weapon energy. It's like they're prepping me for a really difficult boss or something. Oh, I spoke too soon, didn't I? So yeah, the second wily boss is the return of the Yellow Devil. Ooh yeah. Fortunately, with the slide, he's actually a lot easier to defeat because you can avoid these blocks a lot easier by just sliding under the second height of block and jumping over the rest of them. His weaknesses are Shadow Blade and Hard Knuckle, but Hard Knuckle is really hard to use. So I'm going to stick to the Shadow Blade, because at least you can aim it up into whatever direction he's in. So yeah. Just gotta wait for all of the blocks to go in place and just shoot them up, and at this point I wanted to like use an E-Tank. I've got 7 E-Tanks, man. I can afford to use a few of them. He's also got a new attack, which is this bouncy block formation. That's a nice attack. It makes this go by a little bit quicker. So yeah, I suppose a first-timer would have a lot of trouble with that and probably have to use one of the 2 E-Tanks, but I still have to wonder what the Mad Doctor's thinking is, placing all of those free E-Tanks for Mega Man to find. Alright, stage 3. First, we've got to get onto this ladder and go up. And there's some more weapon energy. This game is pretty, like... This game is pretty generous with weapon energy. Alright, that E-Tank, there is no challenge behind getting that E-Tank. All you have to do is do one stupid little slide to get it. God, now I'm getting annoyed with all the free E-Tanks and stuff. Hey, look, a free life. Well, I guess you have to, like, wade through the darkness to get to it, at least. So that's a thing. I'm not even sure where any of the checkpoints are in these stages because I've never lost a life in any of them, to be honest. Most ineffective Hammer Joe ever, by the way. I don't know what his thinking was in being placed there when Mega Man is just going to fall past him. He's not even guarding anything. Alright, so moving platforms into spikes. Interesting. You can have some fun with these if you, like, get on the ladder and allow the platform to push you into the spikes, but that's just for fun. Anyways, we have another glitched boss. Isn't that going to be fun? Alright, so, I'll just let the thing play out for you. Yeah. Most pathetic boss ever, right? Springman ain't got nothing on this thing. So what that was supposed to be, the next stage is just the boss rematches, so I'm just going to talk about what the boss I just fought. That boss is supposed to be a trio of Mega Man clones, as if one weren't enough, right? They are actually... They're not... Are they weak to top spin? I don't think they would even take damage from top spin. Normally, anyways. So what I did there was, you are normally not allowed to switch to another weapon while a projectile is on screen. The rush utilities are an exception to this. You can switch to another weapon even after your buster has been fired. What this will do is it will cause the buster shot to take on the damage properties of any weapon that you switch to. And this is good for topspin because you can give your buster shots the same properties as topspin. So if a boss is weak to topspin, you can fire your buster with a rush utility equipped, and then switch to topspin, and then the buster will be dealing topspin damage. But not only will it be dealing topspin damage, a very close call against Needleman there, by the way. Not only will the buster be dealing topspin damage, it will also, like, not ever disappear when it hits the enemy. And because the Mega Man clones do not have invincibility frames, in fact a lot of bosses, besides the Robot Masters from here on out, don't have invincibility frames, it will do constant damage against the enemy. Like, damage every frame, so that's why it died instantly. Or it could just be that he takes, like, 32 points of damage from topspin or something, I don't know. And, you know, the deal with the Mega Man clones is that you're supposed to, like, whenever they teleport in, a different one is the real Mega Man clone, while the other two just take no damage. But when the fight starts, the real Mega Man clone is always at the top of the screen. And oops, I lost a life against Gemini Man. But that's okay. I have plenty of extra lives. So yeah, you always know where the real Mega Man clone is at the start. He's always at the top. And, you know, I guess that's bad for a Let's Play because you're kind of supposed to show what all these bosses are capable of and how to deal with them. But, yeah. So where was I? Yeah, we're in boss rematch mode now. There's not really a lot to say. These are basically all going to be fought in the exact same manner as the first time, with a few exceptions. Like, I'm going to use Hard Knuckle against Top Man. It's his weakness. So yeah, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something and I can't really remember. Well, here's Hard Knuckle versus Top Man. Lots of damage, which is good because, hey, I can't move! What's going on? Yeah, I guess if you fire your last Hard Knuckle at point blank, it stops you for a few seconds, which is not good when I'm supposed to be doing this in a speedy manner. Oh, hey, here's another reason Shadow Blade is the Metal Blade equivalent. The boss you get it from is weak to his own weapon. Yeah! I wish my aim were a little better here, though. Alright, so that's the end of Shadow Man. And next up we have Sparkman. He's gonna use the Shadow Blade again. Something tells me I should be learning from my mistake in Mega Man 2, using up all of that Metal Blade energy. I should really be conserving Shadow Blade, but like, it's the end of the game. What else could there be that is weak to Shadow Blade besides like the final boss, I guess? Alright, Snake Man. Oh yeah, I know what I was gonna say. I was thinking of doing a thing in this playthrough where I use the Buster only against the bosses the first time and then use the weaknesses in the rematches. But it's very difficult to deal with the bosses with just the Buster for like an average-ish player like myself, so that's why I didn't do it. And there's no true boss for that stage. Instead, they place the boss in a separate stage, presumably so that you don't lose all your lives and have to go through the entire rematch gauntlet over again. But this boss is so easy, I don't see how that would ever happen. It's another Wily machine that is going to slowly make its way across the screen. Jeez. Slowly, slowly. You have to hit that cannon under the main body first. It's weak against Search Snake. And I believe this, the second phase is also weak against Search Snake and probably Hard Knuckle as well. That's what I remember. But it's easier to just shoot at it with Rush Jet. Because with Rush Jet, you don't have to wait for it to lower the head in order to smash into you. You can just park yourself in this position and shoot at it. There we go, so Mega Man 3 is complete. I guess I will, like, see you guys for Mega Man 4 in a couple of weeks, and I have to practice a little bit, though, because I haven't played it. Oh my goodness, it's a Dr. Wily bobblehead. So yeah, the game's not over quite yet. There's, yet again, another skull on the map. Okay, then. I'm going to refill a few of my weapons here. Unfortunately... Oh yeah, there's another free E-tank up there, by the way. There are weapon capsules right there, so if you're literally out of Rush Jet, you could just pick one of them up there. And I'll tell you which weapon I completely forgot to refill. You kinda need Hard Knuckle against Gamma. Yeah, Gamma started a trend of Mega Man bosses that are named after Greek letters. Sigma, Alpha in Battle Network, even though he was called Proto in Japan. So yeah, I'm out of Hard Knuckles now, and unfortunately that's the big guy's weakness. So I had to waste a bunch of time trying out all of the different weapons to try and find what his weakness was, because I instinctively thought, there's no way he's weak against Shadow Blade. Who could possibly be weak? What? It's like the most broken weapon in the game. How could it possibly be weak against Shadow Blade? But yeah, it turns out he was weak against Shadow Blade, and yeah, I'm flying above him so I can try out Search Snake, but that's not working. And there's no way Spark Shock could work, right? I mean, I haven't used it a single time this entire playthrough. Yep, no good. But yeah, it's Shadow Blade. And, I'm gonna do something special for the final form here, which sees the robot finally actually try to shoot me, go figure. So yeah, Rush Jet into Top Spin Glitch, and then I finish him off with a Top Spin to a face, which was so powerful the graphics exploded. Did you see that? So yeah, Mega Man, you should probably turn to face Dr. Wily now. I mean, like, he's bowing down, and uh-oh. Oh, but who's this come to save me? And turn my weapon energy meter blue. I got Magnet Beam back! So yeah, the big twist is that that guy who saved us at the end was actually Proto Man, who was a prototype Mega Man, hence the name. Although in Japan he's called Blues. This whistling is his theme song, which is why we heard it throughout the game. Not sure if his whistling is supposed to be actual blues music, but that would be pretty cool if it was. But then again, Mega Man's theme has never been, like, actual rock. Or rock and roll. So yeah, even though it's all in Japanese, I can tell you what they're saying here. They're basically detailing the bosses from Mega Man 1 and what their purposes were. The reason they're doing that is that Mega Man 1 never numbered any of the bosses, and since Mega Man 2, they've given all of the bosses numbers. So this is retroactively giving the Mega Man 1 bosses numbers, and portraits, by the way, because Mega Man 1 never had a traditional stage select screen with the portraits and everything. And Roll gets a number as well, and so does Mega Man himself. He's mighty number 1! And Proto Man is number 0. 0? Proto Man? Proto Man's appearance in Battle Network was based on 0. Yeah, whatever. Hey, do you see something in the top right part of the screen? I sure didn't. Oh yeah, that Proto Man's theme is also cut off before it can finish playing. The cutscene wasn't long enough for it, but yeah. Here are all of the Mega Man 3 robots and their designers. They're pretty cool designs. Of course, one wonders what the developers have to go through, because they have to turn drawings into pixel art, and that's not always the easiest thing to do. Like, take it from me. Tried it myself. Yeah, Snake Man, Spark Man, Mikihiro Suzuki. If you're watching this by sheer random chance, I'm so sorry they gave your boss the worst weapon in the game. And then it just cuts to credits. Ah, enough King. Bun Bun, TK, AM, Kero Kero. What are these? Do these change in the English version, I wonder? No, they probably wouldn't. There's not a lot you have to change in order to localize this to English, just a very small amount of dialogue. So yeah, the one name missing from the credits, however, is Yuki-chan's papa. I wonder what happened to him. Oh, and look at this. Mrs. Tarumi. Mrs. Not Tarumi-san. And Yachan Z. Anyways, that's Mega Man 3. It was a real blast to play. I think with a little bit more polish to it, it could have easily surpassed Mega Man 2 in the eyes of a lot of people. But that didn't really happen. But